you want a quiet wearable breast pump. It adds to discretion. It makes for a more comfortable pumping experience because you're not sitting there listening to an annoying noise. But what is the quietest wearable breast pump on the market? And in this video, we are going to take a look. Now you can see here, I have a sound measuring app on my tablet. Now, as I'm talking, you can see I'm going up to 70, 75 decibels. On this, it records the sound. You have your minimum, you have your average over the time span, and then you have the maximum decibels. So in this, you can see it's also got on here how quiet or softly it is. So you can easily see where we're at. Now, this isn't a proper lab scientific experience. This is just a sound app on my tablet, but it gives you a really good indication of the differences in sound and noise between all these wearable breast pumps. Now, I have tried to pick some of the most popular, from the Eufy S1 Pro to the Mum Cozy M9 to some of the newer ones on the market like the Medela Magic, as well as some of the more budget affordable wearable breast pumps like the MumMed S21. So let's see how these all compare in terms of noise level. And we're going to start with the Willow. I will quickly add that these are not up against a breast. Having it up against a breast with proper suction and seal will make this a little bit softer. So this is the loudest without having it up against the breast, which cushions the noise a little bit. I do also have these all set in the expression mode. They're the longer, deeper suctions for drawing out your breast milk, and they're the ones that, as they go deeper in suction, tend to produce that louder sound. I also have these on the highest setting that is possible, so you are getting the maximum sound that this pump will produce. So I'm going to run each test. I will do a refresh and run it for 15 seconds. It will give us our average as well as our max noise. I will write these down and we can compare this at the end of the video to see where they all line up. So let's start with the Willow Go. I will give this a reset. I'm also going to hold them all at the same rough distance, so we are ideally getting a relatable sound measurement to compare. Okay, so the Willow Go averaged 37.3 decibels with a max of 50.5. Next, we're going to do the LV pump. So I'll turn it on. Okay, let's reset. Okay, so the LV pump averaged 24.7 decibels with a max of 46.6. Next, we'll do the Mum Cozy M9. And again, I've got this on the max suction setting. Okay, we'll pause that. Okay, so the Mum Cozy M9 had an average of 33.8 decibels and a max of 56.8. Next, we can do the Medela Magic. Now, Medela Magic is actually a little bit tricky to do the sound test with because it has sensors in it, so you need to have your nipple in it. It's also app operated, so bear with me for a second to see if we can get this working and over in the expression mode. Okay, and we'll go back to the test. Okay, so this doesn't do the full setting, but I averaged 32.9 and 50. Do you know what? I am going to redo this one because I believe I started talking in that, which, let's see if we can redo this, sorry. Okay, that is the full 15 seconds. So that is a 39.1 average and a 49.4 max. Okay, next let's do the Mum Cozy Air. So we'll turn this on. Make sure we're on max. Okay, so that's an average of 36.1, a 52.1 max. It's actually really interesting going through this as well to hear all the different rhythms and cycles that these pumps have. They're not all the same. So that's something to really keep in mind too when we're looking at suction and the strength of a wearable pump. I do have a special video on that I will link to, but having your suction in the different patterns is definitely an important factor as well. Okay, this is the comfier. This has got the heating like your S1 Pro with the Eufy, but it is more affordable. But let's have a look. Okay, so this averaged 38.9 and had a peak of 58.6. Now let's have a look at the Peru. This is one of the budget wearables in this range. Okay. Okay, so this has an average of 34.6, but a max of 65.4. Okay, the Mum Cozy M5, another very popular wearable pump, affordable. Let's make sure that's on the max. Expression. Okay, so that had an average of 43.9 and 65.7. Okay, let's take a look at the Mum Med. This is one of my favorite affordable wearable breast pumps. Okay, so that has an average of 36.4 and a max of 63.3. Then we have the very popular Eufy S1 Pro. Okay, so that's an average of 39.8, followed by a max of 54.4. Then we have the Medela Motion. This is a newer affordable wearable by Medela. Sorry, I'm going to just restart that. Okay, so that had an average of a 41.3 and a max of 70.3. And then we have our Eufy E20, another really popular wearable. Okay, so that averaged a 39 with a max of 57.8. So I know that was a lot of numbers and a lot of testing. So which one actually wins for the quietest wearable breast pump? Let me pull out those numbers. Excuse my messy writing. Hands down, we have the LV wearable breast pump. It's the only one out of these that actually had an average in the 20s. It is significantly quieter overall if you average out the noise. This is really thanks to its piezo pump motor. So it oscillates at around 28,000 millimeters per second. So it is beyond that human hearing. It makes this whisper quiet. You can see that just in these results here. Even at the max, it's only 46.6. It is a really whisper quiet pump. The one downside to this is that it does have a lower suction strength to it. So it is more for those that are wanting a gentler suction pump. However, that said, if you are after the quietest wearable breast pump, the LV pump is the best option. Okay, so what comes in second place? Now, this is a bit tricky because we're looking at your average, but we're also looking at this max sound. Because of the wavelengths that our pumping cycle goes, you do have those quieter sections where the pump ramps up to max and then comes back down, and then ramps up and then comes back down. So we're getting, when we're at that peak, you're still going to be hearing that in your pumping cycle. So we almost want to hear what that peak max suction is, because that's also in the pattern we're going to be hearing that. So here, this is where I think the Medela Magic is a quieter option. Even though you have a lower average here with the Mum Cozy M9, the overall max output is quieter. So that's your Medela Magic. If you're after the quiet as well as the discretion, I actually think this is a great pump. A little bit more complicated than some of the others, especially with all the sensors, but overall it's a really nice, discreet pump, especially when you couple in how quiet it is. All right, where else are we on the list? I think the next is the Willow Go. It is a lot larger of a pump, but again, it's really quiet. And the thing I think I like about the Willow Go is that when it does its suction cycles, it goes up and doesn't come all the way back down. It goes up. So it holds this almost continuous suction feel, which is great if you're somebody that wants a stronger suction. Love too that you also have the option here to change out this 5 ounce for a 7 ounce container capacity, which is huge for a wearable. It's also really great for large breasts, so definitely a contender with the Quietest Wearable breast pump. So the top 3 on my list in order are the Elvie, the Medela Magic, and the Willow Go. Now, what did not make the cut? What is one of the loudest ones? Your Medela Motion. This had a peak of 70 decibels. It's also quite loud at 41 average. It is not a quiet pump. You can hear it, the differences when you turn it on. It is a great, easy to use, only a few pieces for easy cleaning, very budget friendly, but you'll find that it is not super quiet. And that is actually a theme with our budget wearable pumps. You'll see on here ones like your Mum Med are in the 60, even the Mum Cozy M5s in your 65 range, the Paru. These are all your budget wearables. So I'm not really surprised that they are also the loudest out of this batch. They've obviously made these more affordable over things like making them quieter with noise and discretion. So there you go. If you're wanting a good middle of the range a pump, then your Eufys, it's not overly quiet, but it's not obtruse. Again, you're comfier if you're wanting the heat pad with a more budget friendly than the Eufy. They're actually comparable, though the comfier does have that more max setting. My pick out of the budget range would be the Mum Med S21. It's the lower of the peaks, and it has actually a really good overall average. So I hope this video helps. Again, if you're looking for the quietest wearable breast pump on the market, the Elvie pump is your best to go.